Hi, I'm Elizabeth with the Newport Historical Society, and today we are chatting with author Tom Shachtman, who has written the new book, Founding Fortunes. Tom, could you tell us a little bit about this book and who paid for the American War for Independence?
Well, the book's called The Founding Fortune, with the reading line, How the Wealthy Paid for and Profited from America's Revolution. And that's really what it's about. It takes from the period from 1763 all the way up to 1813, a period of about 50 years. And it traces the foundation, not just of American finance, but of how we got involved, what the economic matters were. They were really much more significant in many ways than the idea of just taxation without representation. So the question that I would pose, the book poses basically is, who paid for the American Revolution? And the answer, of course, is complicated. It's not that simple. Certainly the rich paid for it, but as I say, they also profited from it. But France also paid for it. They gave us big loans, and they sent soldiers and everything else that were very important. And everyday Americans paid for it, certainly the ones who were on the front line who paid for it in blood, but also people behind the lines who were contributing in the sense of getting provisions for the troops, battening down the hatches, all of that kind of stuff, and who were actually never repaid. They put out their own money and their own credit and the credit of their families and their friends to keep those armies in the field.
And was Hamilton's approach the only possible approach to America's finances once George Washington took office?
Well, this is a much later station, it happens in 1789 after Washington takes office. That's well after the revolution is finished. But after a period of tremendous unrest from 1781 to 1789. And so what he wanted to do was, for example, to keep the national debt high so that it would bring the states together in a collaborative effort, because they'd been actually sort of almost flying apart in that interregnum period. And he also wanted the rich to be very involved in the government. So he set up the Bank of the United States with shares at $400 apiece, which was more than the average American made in about 2 years. So average Americans weren't going to be in there by design by Hamilton. But there were other approaches. For example, in Boston, at the same time that the Bank of the United States was being set up, there was a Boston bank being set up, and they issued 100,000 shares at $8 apiece. And it was bought up immediately. And a quarter of that bank's assets and what they had to loan out was reserved for small farmers, small entrepreneurs, just the kind of people that Hamilton set up was made to exclude, because they are the people from whom America's greatest growth came.
Well, Founding Fortunes is available at shopnewporthistory.com. So order the book now and enjoy it. And we will be hosting Tom Shachtman for a talk later this year. Thank you very much for joining us, Tom.
Thank you.